I was sitting next to him on his couch. The movie played, but I wasn't watching. My heart was racing, his hand brushed against mine. I didn't move. Then without warning he kissed me. Soft, slow, dangerous. I should have stopped him, but I kissed him back. That night, I wasn't thinking of my husband, Matthew. I was thinking of how it felt to be wanted like that again. My name is Emily Carter, and I did something I never thought I would do. I cheated on my husband. Before you judge me, let me tell you about him. Matthew Carter. He was, by all accounts, the perfect man. Tall, kind, smart, patient. He brought me flowers on random Tuesdays. He cooked dinner when I was tired. He held my hand in public even after years together. He remembered anniversaries. He never forgot my coffee order. He even got along with my mother. I married him because he made me feel safe, and for a long time that was enough. We met at a bookstore. I was browsing the travel section. He was searching for cookbooks. He asked me if I had ever tried Thai food. I laughed. He handed me a book and said, "If you let me cook you something from this, I promise you'll love it." That was his way of asking me out. Guess what? I said yes. Our first date was at his apartment. He made green curry that was a little too spicy. I drank too much wine. We talked until 2 in the morning. I remember looking at him and thinking, he feels like home. We dated for 3 years. Then he proposed during a trip to Oregon, just the two of us, on a cliff overlooking the water. I cried before he even finished the question. We got married the next spring. Everything was beautiful. The first year of marriage felt like a dream. We traveled, hosted dinner parties, danced in the kitchen. We were that couple, the one people pointed to and said, "They're so in love," and we were. But love isn't always enough. By our 4th year, things changed. We were still kind, still respectful, still friendly, but something faded. Maybe it was routine, maybe it was work stress, maybe it was just life. The kisses got quicker, the hugs got shorter. The silence between us grew longer. We weren't fighting, we just weren't connecting. That's when I met Ryan. Ryan Taylor worked in the same building as me. He was in tech support. I was in the marketing team on the 5th floor. We met because my laptop froze during a presentation. I called for help. He showed up, fixed it in 2 minutes, and smiled like he'd saved the world. He was charming in that quiet, cocky way, funny, easygoing. He teased me about having too many tabs open. I laughed more that day than I had in weeks. At first it was innocent, just hallway jokes, then emails, then coffee breaks. He started waiting for me in the lobby. He brought me chocolate one afternoon and said, "Just in case your day sucks." I told him I was married. He nodded and said, "Lucky guy." It should have stopped there, but it didn't. One Friday I stayed late to finish a report. He came by my desk, asked if I wanted to grab food. I said yes. We ended up at a burger place near the office. We laughed through dinner. On the walk back, he held the door open for me. When I turned to say thank you, he leaned in and kissed me. It was quick, a soft, surprised kiss. I stepped back, my heart was pounding. I told him I couldn't do this. He apologized, said he got caught in the moment. I left quickly. That night, I sat on the edge of my bed while Matthew slept peacefully beside me. I stared at the ceiling, feeling guilty and confused. The next day I told Ryan we couldn't see each other outside work again. He said he understood, but the tension between us didn't go away. Weeks passed. The flirting returned. The looks. The accidental touches. Then one evening, I got a message from him. "Movie night, my place, just friends, promise." I said no. Then I said yes. I told Matthew I had a team dinner. He kissed my forehead and told me to have fun. I still remember standing outside Ryan's apartment door, my stomach flipping. Inside it was quiet, dim lights, popcorn on the table, a classic movie playing on the screen. I sat on the far end of the couch. He handed me a blanket. We didn't speak for a while. Then he moved closer. He didn't say a word, just reached for my hand. I froze. He leaned in and kissed me again, this time slower. I didn't pull away. The blanket slid to the floor, his hand touched my neck, then the buttons of my shirt. One by one he opened them, moving gently like he was afraid I'd disappear. I let him. I let him touch me, pull me closer, move under my clothes. He whispered my name. I closed my eyes. Then we moved to the bedroom. I didn't stop him. I didn't say no. I didn't think about Matthew, not once. All I felt was the rush, the need, the thrill of being desired, completely and urgently. It didn't end there. For weeks I lived two lives. Daytime with my husband, nights with Ryan. We even met once in the back seat of his car, parked behind a quiet alley. Another time we did it while watching a movie at his place, barely making it past the opening credits. I was living in a lie, and Matthew had no clue. He still brought me tea at night, still kissed my cheek, still called me babe in that soft voice. Every kind thing he did made me feel worse. One night he surprised me with dinner. Candlelight, music, my favorite pasta. He held my hand across the table and said, "I know we've both been busy, but I want to bring us back. You mean everything to me." I wanted to scream. Instead, I nodded, smiled, told him I loved him. That was the night I ended it with Ryan. I told him we couldn't continue, that it was wrong, that Matthew didn't deserve this. He looked hurt but nodded. I thought the worst was behind me, until Matthew found out. One morning, I came home from a jog and saw him sitting on the couch, holding my tablet. My messages with Ryan were open. He looked up, eyes red. "Why?" he asked. I had no answer. He didn't yell. He didn't accuse. He just looked broken, like something inside him had died. I confessed everything, the kisses, the nights, the lies. He didn't say a word, just got up and left. I didn't hear from him for 3 days. When he returned, he didn't pack a bag. He didn't ask for a divorce. He said, "I still love you, but I don't know how to look at you the same." We tried counseling, we tried weekend getaways, but the trust was gone. He said he could forgive me, but he couldn't forget. Every touch felt cold, every kiss felt forced. Eventually he moved out. Our divorce was quiet, no fights, no screaming, just silence. He signed the papers with shaking hands. I never stopped loving him, and he never stopped being perfect. But sometimes being perfect isn't enough. The first morning without Matthew in the house felt like waking up in someone else's life. His side of the bed was untouched, his toothbrush was gone, the silence in the kitchen was louder than any argument we could have had. I sat on the floor in my robe, drinking cold coffee and staring at the front door, as if he might come back in and say, "I changed my mind, let's fix this." But he didn't, and I didn't blame him. I went to work pretending everything was fine, smiling through meetings, replying to emails, nodding along in small talk. No one knew. I hadn't even told my best friend. I was too ashamed. Ryan messaged me a week later. He asked if I was okay. I told him not to text again. He respected that. I didn't hear from him again. At night I lay in bed replaying every moment. The way I kissed Ryan back, the way I let him undress me, the way I told myself it didn't mean anything while knowing it meant everything. I couldn't understand why I did it, why I risked a man like Matthew for something so temporary, so reckless, so selfish. That's the word I kept coming back to, selfish, because Matthew had done nothing wrong. He wasn't cold, he wasn't distant, he wasn't cruel. He loved me every day, even when I made it hard. And still, I broke him. I betrayed him. I made him feel like he wasn't enough. I finally told my sister. We met for coffee and I spilled everything. She stared at me, shocked, then said, "You? Cheated on Matthew?" I nodded. She didn't judge me, but she didn't defend me either. She just said, "You need to figure out why, not for him, for you." And that stuck with me, so I started therapy. I told my therapist the truth. Every messy, ugly piece of it, and slowly I started to understand. It wasn't about Ryan, it wasn't even about sex. It was about something inside me that had been quiet for years, a hunger I didn't know I still had, to feel seen, desired, exciting, not just loved, but wanted. I had let my own insecurity eat away at me, and instead of facing it, I ran to the first person who gave me attention. But that attention cost me everything. About 3 months after the divorce, I wrote Matthew a letter, not to win him back, not to beg for forgiveness, just to say what I couldn't say out loud. Dear Matthew, I don't expect this to change anything. I don't expect you to write back. But I need to say this. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for lying, for cheating, for breaking the one heart I never meant to hurt. You were the best part of my life, and I destroyed us because I didn't know how to sit with my own emptiness. It was never about you. You were always enough. You were more than enough. It was me. I was lost. I made the worst decision of my life, trying to feel something I should have talked to you about. You didn't deserve what I did, and I'll carry that with me for the rest of my life. Wherever you are, I hope you're healing. I hope someone new sees what I saw and never lets go. Love always, Emily. I mailed it without expecting a reply. I didn't get one. I stayed single for a long time. I needed to. Dating felt impossible. I couldn't imagine opening up to someone new when I hadn't even forgiven myself. Every time someone asked what happened to my marriage, I'd freeze. What was I supposed to say? Oh, I cheated on my perfect husband with a coworker because I was bored and insecure? But healing isn't about punishing yourself forever. It's about learning, changing, owning the damage, and making sure you never cause it again. So I started small. I traveled by myself for the first time, took a trip to Colorado, hiked, journaled, read books I hadn't touched in years. I even cried on top of a mountain. It sounds cliché, but it felt real. I also got a dog, Sasha, a rescue mutt with big brown eyes and a tail that wagged like crazy every time I walked in the door. She didn't care about my past, she just loved me. And in some weird way, she helped me remember I still had love to give. Eventually, I opened myself back up. I met someone a year later, Liam. He was gentle, kind, a little shy. We took things slow. I told him the truth early on about my marriage, my mistake, everything. He didn't flinch, he just said, "That must have been really hard. I'm glad you told me." That was the moment I knew I was finally becoming someone better, someone honest. Liam and I are still dating. It's not perfect, but it's real, and I don't take a single second of it for granted. Almost 2 years after the divorce, I ran into Matthew at a grocery store. I was grabbing coffee beans. He was in the frozen aisle. We made eye contact. My heart jumped. He looked good, healthier, happier even. His hair was a little longer. He smiled softly. "Emily," he said. "Hi," I whispered. We stood there for a moment, awkward but not angry. I asked how he was. He said he was doing well. He mentioned he had moved to a new neighborhood, got a dog, started running. I smiled. "That's great." Then he asked, "How are you?" I paused. "Better," I said. "Learning." He nodded. "I'm glad." We didn't talk about the past. We didn't talk about the letter, but before he left, he said something I'll never forget. "You know, I never stopped thinking you were a good person. You just made a really bad choice." I felt tears sting my eyes. "Thank you," I said. Then he walked away. And that was it, closure in a grocery store aisle. So yeah, I cheated. On a man who was kind, loving, trustworthy, everything most women dream of. I hurt him in a way I'll never be able to undo. But I also changed. I'm not saying this for sympathy. I'm doing it because maybe someone out there is on the edge of a similar mistake. Maybe you're feeling unnoticed, unloved, lonely in your own marriage. Please, talk to your partner, talk to yourself, talk to a therapist. Cheating doesn't fix anything, it only breaks what's already fragile. I lost someone who would have walked through fire for me, just because I stopped looking at him like he still could. He was perfect, I still cheated. and that truth will always be part of my story. But it's not the end of it. If this story hit something in you, drop your thoughts in the comments. Real stories, real people. Want more raw, honest stories like this? Stick around, we're just getting started.